Hi, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. Today is Friday, um, July the 13th. So yes, indeed, it is Friday 13th. Um, hope you buck the trend and turn today into a great trading day for yourself rather than a negative one. Um, we had some really good uh, trending price action today. It was just a trend really from this is what I call a trend from the open. We were actually in a trading range at the open that failed and went lower, and from that point on it was up all day long. So this is definitely a trend from the majority of the price action occurred in the first maybe 30, 45 minutes of trading, and then it was just kind of slow, but a continued uptrend following the trend line after that point. Um, this is the trend line that I found today. I'll show you that trend line. I got it off the first two bars of the swing of the overnight, and even if you didn't see it off the first two bars, you should have got it off the first couple of swings. And you know it's not this swing here because it's just too low. That's, you might get a trend off of that at some point. Prices may come down here and react, but that's too steep, or not. It's not steep enough. It's too shallow to be a valid trend line. So you figure it's got to be right up through here like so, and that's exactly where prices came into play later in the day until we broke the trend line here, and then, just prior to the close it just occurred, we tried to make a new high. Um, and of course your best entries were either at the EMA during our two-legged pullbacks or at the trend line, which is what we're always trying to teach, is that your best entries are going to be two-legged pullbacks to either EMA, the trend line, or the EMA and the trend line at the same time. When they both occur at the same place, like in here or here, that's usually an even better sign. So the thing is, if you didn't catch this entry down here, this is a nice, legitimate entry formation that we teach down here off this double bottom. And if you didn't catch this trend right here, it was really hard to just enter anywhere along this trend. It's really dangerous. But so what I wanted to show you was, so when you do get a trend like this, make sure you draw your short-term trend line, because that would have alerted you to what was going on, and at least you could have considered entering here or here. And you can see when we came back here, we never got a setup. And but you got to set up, if you just drew it right off those first couple of swings right down there, first three bars, you got to set up there, and then you never got any more setup. So if you'd taken any of those bounces off the trend line, uh, they weren't good for much more than a scalp by the time we got up here. But if you caught it down here, you were in great shape. And the thing was, this reversal happened slightly before the open down here. But anyway, that's one way you can try to catch that trend. But let's just go ahead and talk about the trades. They were all longs today. Like I said, this is a trend from the very open. Hopefully you could easily spot this strong support down here. You really got the most touches right along that point right there, and you can see that's where the last of the closes were at as well before prices reversed and took off. This was just at the open. Actually, the reversal started prior to the open, but you see it took off right at the open, right there at the 8:30 open, and it just never looked back, really. And the only way you could, the only safe place to enter is here, or a couple of these reversals here, and these are really getting risky up here, and you see it didn't go much further before you had a correction. So it's best to wait on your first correction. This is a nice two-legged measured move back to the EMA, second entry long after a very bullish move. And if you caught this one, any runners would have been good here, and they were good for several points. And you can see each pullback gets a little bit weaker before prices are taken off each time. Again, you got a second entry long in here. You got this low here. This one was a little more risky at this point. So it was really better to wait on this little pullback right here. This is you got your double top here. You broke above it. You pulled back. So that's a breakout pullback long, and it hesitated a minute too. But as long as you had your stop below your signal bar, everything was okay. and this one was good for only a scalp before prices pulled back. And then you've got a double bottom here that's also a second entry long on the bigger picture. First entry, here's your pullback, move up, pullback, so a second entry long. But even if you miss that right there, there's a second entry long here, and again, it got you back into the trend. And then you didn't have another second entry long till right here, or another pullback to the EMA, or a double bottom till right here. There was actually one here, but with only one leg back, it was definitely better to wait on the second leg back, which reversed right off the trend line. And then there's one more up here. It's really too late in the day, but I marked it just so you could see it. It's a two-legged pullback, but it's also a second entry long right here off of, there's your first entry long, pullback, second entry long. Let me back out where you can see it a little better too. You can actually see two legs there, but on the bigger picture there was a second entry long, because there's your first entry, then pullback, you got a little double, triple bottom there, and another entry long. And it was good enough for just a scalp, and that was really about it. But really it was too late in the day, but I just wanted to show you that so you could see it. It was definitely too late in the day to be entering a trade, and you see nothing much happened after that. You just would have gotten into something that probably would have got you into more trouble than it would have helped. So that's why I like to avoid those trades. So, but hopefully you can see. Let's just go back here and start right here, and then I'm gonna call it a day. It's Friday. Look at this nice measured leg back. And so you could have gone long above this bar or this bar. It was better down here to get in lower. And this is a breakout pullback long. So technically it was a legal entry, and it was also a second entry off this low. But your best entries are going to be on pullbacks to the EMA and the trend line, which is what I talked about. You can see if you waited on that setup, a pullback to the EMA or the trend line every time, you were in a lot better shape, or some kind of double bottom or triple bottom of that nature. So learn to spot that stuff, and you're going to be a lot better off. But again, this is just a trend from the open, and if you caught this first opening right here, any runners would have been safe, and you would have made a lot of money today depending on where you exited this, and you could have ridden it all the way to the very top and closed just before the close of the market. Actually, it would have been wise to get out in here in this overlap at the very least, around 2:30 or so when it started overlapping. But depending on what you saw, I hope that some of you saw this pattern here and caught it, because this is a key entry that we teach and talk about quite a lot. You can see the potential in that entry right there if you caught it today. And then these others are just more of the same thing that we teach on our key entry points. And so hopefully you see that. I'm still struggling to talk. I'm feeling 100 times better, and I hate to keep harping on it, but I'm really struggling to talk, so I'm going to wrap it up today and get this week over with, and maybe by next week I'll be back to 100%. But hope you had a good trading day. Hopefully you bucked the trend of the Friday 13s and made some money today. But if you didn't, we can always come back and try to do it next time. But I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. Hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll see you next week.